East Texas now. I'm your host, Michaela Goose. I'm going to be taking you up all the way until 10 o'clock tonight. Let's go ahead and start off. We are going to go ahead and bypass that current temperature check because we are joined right now with Nika King of the very quickly becoming a critically acclaimed film, Possum Trot. How are you doing today? I'm good. I'm good. Now, let's go ahead and jump right on in. You play the wife to Bishop and Pastor W.C. Martin. You play Donna Martin. What was it like finding her amazingly strong-willed and compassionate voice?
Portraying First Lady Donna Martin is kind of like an actor's dream because she has so many different facets to her personality. She's funny, she's inviting, she's full of life and loves God. So it was definitely easy for me to portray her, and I'm so happy that she loved my portrayal and she gave it the thumbs up.
And I'm sure that is an unbelievable compliment to get, is when the person you're playing actually approves of how you're recreating their story. And that kind of leads me right on into my next question. What is it like bringing someone else's story to life as compared to a fictional script?
So when I read the script, I knew I had to be a part of it. And, because First Lady Donna Martin is still alive, there's this self kind of inflicted pressure to get it right. And I knew I would be able to do it, but I just wanted to make sure that it was a true and authentic portrayal, because I didn't spend a lot of time with her, but the time I did spend with her, it was enough for me to capture her essence.
Now, for those in our audience that may not actually know the story of Possum Trot, which once again is from right here in East Texas, this is a very close story to our hearts here on East Texas Now, would you mind giving a quick synopsis from your point of view, Donna Martin's point of view, if you will, of the story in general?
So the movie Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot, is about an East Texas community that basically follows the lead of First Lady Donna Martin and adopt over 77 kids out of the foster care system. She received the call from God to do it after losing her own mother, who was a very important anchor in her life. And she goes on this journey, right, to convince not just her husband, but her congregation to follow her dreams of making these kids feel loved and feel appreciated and bringing them into wonderful homes.
Now, this is, yes, an absolute joyous story of bringing children into your life that desperately need you, but it's also a pretty heavy story. And I have to ask, what was it like being on that set? Was the heaviness affecting the cast and crew? Were you guys bonding together through it to show as much as you can on that set? What was it like?
So when you're working with kids, you have a very short amount of time to get it right because they can't work the full hours that we do as adults. So those times that we're doing those very deep and dark scenes, we got to get it right on the first couple takes. And let me just tell you, those young actors nailed it every time. And I think we also had a communal spirit of we have to get through this, and we all felt loved and supported. And so it wasn't hard to do those scenes as far as getting them done, but emotionally, at the end of the day, you are kind of spent.
I can't even imagine how emotionally draining it is to not only have to get it done fast and perfect, but also take on that role, take on that emotional and mental burden. Jumping right into my next question, the goal of this film is to not necessarily combat the foster care crisis, but for sure to bring awareness to how much of a crisis the foster care system really is in. What have you learned about these issues plaguing the foster care system during your time on set working with First Lady Donna Martin?
Well, I've learned so much from First Lady Donna Martin and Bishop W.C. We had social workers on site. We had advocates for kids on set. And it was just one of those things that you really don't know until you know. That 400,000 kids are in the foster care system and 100,000 are waiting to be adopted. And so when you hear something like that, it's almost surreal, because we live in such, we live in our own bubbles. And, when you get a taste of the outside world and what people are going through, especially kids and kids that are aging out of the system, it's just heartbreaking. And so I've decided to use my nonprofit, Rose of Sharon, to start creating programs around kids out of foster care system that have aged out. And so we're using this nonprofit to help kids kind of tackle some of the mental health issues that they're going through.
And it's an amazing thing to hear of an actress bringing something they learned on set into their own nonprofit and continuing that legacy. Can I ask, you don't hear a lot about movie sets having advocates, having social workers, having people who know the issue you're acting out there to guide you and give you more information and some more background on what you would be feeling in this time. What was that like, having those resources on set for you as you're finding this character and playing her on the big screen?
Because this topic is so heavy, we knew we had to get it right, down to the verbiage, down to the dialogue, down to the scenes that involved, I don't want to give it away, but, down to the scenes that involve some heavy material to physically, emotionally. And so I was happy to see, I mean, that was kind of new for me, to see people on set kind of going through the script and saying, oh, no, we shouldn't say this, we should say that. And I'm like, I'm happy that the director, Josh and Rebecca had the education and the experience to make sure that this film is authentic and it's real, but at the same time, it's needed, because we have to pay attention to this crisis. It really is a crisis in this country.
Absolutely. Now, one more question for you. What do you hope people think as they leave the theater after watching this movie?
My biggest prayer, my biggest hope, my biggest wish is that people don't just walk away from the theater and forget about it. I want it to be on people's hearts. I want it to be on their minds. I want people to go out and get more involved in their community, reach out and see how you can be an advocate for kids. Just do something. Don't just sit back and wait for someone else. I think if you have that tugging at your heart, then I think you should follow that call and not ignore it, because you don't know how you could change just one kid's life by maybe taking them to the movies on the weekend, or spending some time and taking them to, get some ice cream. I think every person should want to do more than what they're doing. I know I do.
Now, is there anything that I have not gotten the chance to ask you that you want to let our viewers know before I let you get back?
No, I think you covered it all. I just would say, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend of me. Okay. Tell, everyone about Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. I think it's definitely more than a movie. It's a movement.
Alrighty. Sound of Hope, Story of Possum Trot, in theaters near you right now. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and